hello, and again, welcome to my palatial estate, as Tanya says. I am Michael Smith, the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada, and welcome to another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And yes, I'm home here in my studio in Collingwood, not at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center, but yes, you know, getting ready for the big day in a couple of days. So, what are we discussing today? What fabulous machine will we be doing? I'll, quickly tip the camera so I don't do the reveal. I hope I'm not making anyone seasick. There, Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. What will we be talking about today? Hello everyone. So yes, Tanya's beautiful drawings of Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. The suspense, what machine will we be talking about today? It is the fabulous, ta-da! MemoryCraft 67, or sorry, not MemoryCraft 6700P. Yes, and P stands for professional. And yes, memory, it is a MemoryCraft machine because there is built-in memory. So this fabulous, gorgeous machine, I'll try to get it all in. Again, this is why I love when I'm at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center, Tanya can film me. But hopefully I'm doing okay on my own. So yes, the fabulous 6700P. This is ultimately one of my most favorite Janome machines. Now, of course, I love them all. And you know, as I've mentioned a couple of times, I've been a Janome user, a Janome fan for going on 28 years now, when I bought my first little Janome machine many, many years ago. But the 6700P, I absolutely love it. And if you're a regular viewer of Janome HQ, then you have seen Tanya as well. Tanya, our Parts, Notions, and Accessories Coordinator, also loves the 6700. And in fact, she was doing a couple of weeks ago a Janome America Facebook Live, which is available to watch on their Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page. But I've now loaded that video up to the Janome HQ YouTube channel as well. And it was a Facebook Live that Tanya did with this cute orange slice garland. She walked you through how to create that. The instructions for which are all on the Janome Canada website, as well as the PDF to print out those patterns. But again, you can go back to either the Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page to watch that video, or to the Janome HQ YouTube channel to watch that video. And Tanya was demonstrating on the fabulous 6700P. And just a bit of backstory, it was about 3 years ago that Janome came out with this machine. And this was the adverts that you may have seen around at the time. And, you know, we created a bunch of billboards around this, and it was in the back of magazines and everything. The tagline was, "Sit, Sew, Fall in Love." And I must admit, when I was at the Janome America head office in New Jersey many years ago, a couple of years ago, again with Miriam, my girl Miriam, and Anne Hine was there too. You all know Anne from all the artistic digitizer videos and everything she does. Anne and Miriam and I were at Janome America headquarters, and Regina, the head of education, said, "Quick, we need a quilt that we're going to put on the Quilt Maker Pro, the big long arm machine. We're going to make a quilt and put it on the big long arm machine for advertisements." So we all ran to the store. I'd never been to a Joann's before. So yes, because again, we don't have Joann's here in Canada. So we went to Joann's and got all this fabric, and Miriam and I, this is a photo of the quilt that we assembled very quickly. I think we did this in like 2 days. And I was sewing on the 6700, my very first time seeing that machine. It was all under wraps. It was all, under fabric because it was hidden. It was about to be revealed at our Janome Institute, in a couple of months from that. So then I was sewing on the 6700P. Miriam was sewing, I think, on the 9400. And we knocked out this quilt top. So yes, very beautiful, very bright. So very fun. And then, Anne Hind quilted this on the Quilt Maker Pro 18. So perhaps you've seen this advertisement for Quilt Maker Pro 18 where it says "Step Up to Boundless." Quiltmaker Pro. So I love that this was a real joint effort for, you know, me from Janome Canada and Miriam and Anne from Janome America, you know, together making this quilt top. And again, Anne quilted it. So I'm very pleased and honored to say that, oh, I had a part in that quilt's construction. And I think Anne now has this quilt hanging up in her studio at home. So yes, it was very fun, but it's specifically sewing on this 6700P. I absolutely fell in love with this machine. It is 1200 stitches per minute, so nice and fast. And it's that perfect blend of kind of old school and new school meaning together. Oh, thank you, Miriam. I so miss and work with you too. Oh, it was so great. You know, when I first joined Janome about 4 years ago, I was going to Janome America a lot, and I absolutely loved it to get to work with, as I often refer to, like Miriam and Anne as my Janome America cousins. So hopefully once COVID is done, I'll be getting back there and then we can work together too, because it's very fun. So yes, the 6700 of, again, why I fell in love with it. 1200 stitches per minute, all metal base. Now you know that all Janome machines have a cast aluminum skeleton, which then the machines are built on, and then all the, you know, plastic bits that are easy to clean and brighter and you know, lighter are added to it. But the 6700, much like its predecessor of the 6600 and the 6500 before that, this is all metal base. So that is another great feature. Ooh, one thing as well, this fabulous one-step needle plate removal that is so convenient. I just touch this button there and boom, my needle plate pops up there. So no screwdriver needed. So that's a great feature. The 6700 comes with 3 needle plates of your regular zigzag, your straight stitch, and your HP, that high performance needle plate and high performance foot. So that's another great feature there too. Oh, hello everyone. Hello, hello. So yes, beautiful LED lighting as well. And again, as I was saying, sort of perfect blend of old school and new school. Now, when I started sewing about 30 years ago, the sewing machines then all had this, I call it the beehive tension. It's not, you know, an auto tension, not a lay-in tension as many of our machines. It's an actual tension knob that I turn here. And then, you know, we've got knobs here to influence this gauge of where we want our presser foot pressure. So if I want more pressure on my foot, I turn the number down so it's higher. If I want to lighten the pressure, then I'll turn it so it goes up. So again, then I can see visually, I can turn these knobs and I can see things happen as opposed to just touching on a screen. But we do have, again, modern technology interfaced with this machine. Oh, we've got our lock stitch, reverse, the needle up and down button that everybody loves. I love that. And, you know, scissors when we want to cut. So that's great. Beautiful, bright LCD screen. And again, it says of our information, it gives us the pressure foot pressure suggestions. It gives us the tension suggestions on where we can turn our tension dial. So again, it's a perfect blend of old school and new school. Again, I can touch and select my stitches by touching the touchpad here, or, you know, I can scroll over using the cursors here, and I can make my adjustments for like width and length with these knobs here. So right now my my needle is at 4.5 center needle position, but I can turn this over and then now it's changing it so it's moving it over to the right. So we've got 91 needle positions for the 6700 because it is a 9mm machine. And yes, it has fabulous features like, oh, it's got AccuFeed Flex. So that's our, as I often say, our walking foot on steroids. It does have a knee lifter port there. So yes, your knee lifter is included. So that's great. And then, of course, your instructional DVD. Make sure that you do watch this. It really does tell you a lot about your machine. Instruction book. You can never refer to it enough, so always keep this handy. Now, if you happen to lose your instruction book, or maybe, oh, the dog ate your homework, as the kids used to say, you can go on to the Janome, either .ca or .com, depending on where you are in the world. Go onto the main Janome site, and on the bottom of the screen it says support, and you click the support and it'll take you to another page that says manuals, and then you click manuals, and then there will be a lot of machines there. There's even a retired section, so if your machine, like my 28-year-old Janome that is long since retired, but I can go back and find that manual after all these years. So again, you can always find your instruction manual one way or the other, and it really is a great resource of information. So make sure to keep that handy. And something else this machine comes with, ooh, these extra large foot pedals are fabulous. And did you know, though, that a lot of them, when you turn them around here, you think, oh, what are these screw holes at the bottom of the foot? Well, that is for an optional upgrade. Ooh, you could get like this. This black metal bracket will screw to the back of your extra large foot pedal here. And on that bracket, you can also get this cute little foot, as we were calling it. This is the remote thread cutter. So I can just step on this and that will cut my threads. I don't have to reach up and touch the scissor button. I can instead just move my foot over and clip my threads. So this remote thread cutter is an optional accessory for certain machines, the 6700 being one of them. There is a little port off to the side. Oh, maybe you can see, ooh, down there. There's a little port off to the side there, and you'll be able to engage that remote thread cutter there. So that is really good. And then the nice thing too, that this black metal bracket, it could be mounted around the other side. So the remote thread cutter could be on the left. I happen to be right-handed, so I'm always going off to my right. So that's why it's there. But again, a good optional accessory. Ooh, maybe a fabulous last-minute Christmas gift as well. Now, other things, oh, this machine comes with so much. So again, I've got to be really mindful of time, so I can't really go through it all. Ooh, hello, so be it clothier. Hello, hello. But yes, all your fabulous goodies. Oh, I mentioned, yes, the 6700 has AccuFeed Flex, whereas its kind of little sister, the 6650, does not have AccuFeed Flex. So 6700 does, and it comes included with the big twin holder, the dual holder with the AD foot. But then you can also get, ooh, some optional AccuFeed Flex feet, and the optional AccuFeed Flex, the single holder here with the VD foot. This is the foot Tanya actually used in her Janome America Facebook Live presentation making her orange slice garland. She used the VD foot, which again is an optional accessory for the 6700, but that's the nice thing with if your machine has the AccuFeed Flex built into it, you can get all of these fabulous feet as an additional accessory if they did not come with your machine. So again, you can check with your fabulous Janome dealer. And again, lots of goodies in here. Again, I mentioned the extra needle plates. There is your HP, your high performance needle plate, and your straight stitch needle plate. Comes with so much. So as always, check your instruction manual at the first couple of pages that lists the contents and make sure you have everything there. And then of course, ooh, yes, this big extension table that I'm going to put up into place, because it really helps. You know, I have never had a sewing table that here at home, I've never had a sewing table where my machine recesses down. My machines have always sat on top of a table. So I really love to have the extension tables that either come with our machines or again are available as additional accessories. Oh, now this cord, you know, one thing on my Christmas list is, oh, a new microphone so I can get rid of the cord that I'm constantly rolling over. So yeah, so this gorgeous extension table, ooh, again, for your 6650, this is an additional accessory that you may purchase if you need or want it, but 6700 comes included, so I love that. So one thing I wanted to go over with so many different functions. Oh, Sandra Mugman's here. Hello. It's excellent to see you. So many things I wanted to go over. And again, we've got some modern technology of having different modes to adjust for the different stitches. And I love this stitch chart. Isn't that so cool? All your stitches here, very conveniently up so you can see it. Now again, your stitch charts, depending on your machine, have a look at your stitch charts, because again, things like, oh, the stitches that are in gray, and you may be wondering, what does that mean? Well, it does say in your manual what these grayed stitches are, but here in your little stitch chart, it says, oh, well, that those stitches, they have horizontal mirror imaging, which then is that button there, that I can do not only horizontal and vertical rotations as well, so that's very cool. And then your stitch chart will also say, oh, that's our symbol for the AccuFeed, that it's engaged, and what stitches can I use with my AccuFeed? Well, oh, here it's telling me which ones are applicable. You know, these straight stitches here, and then there's some straight stitches down here and here on your stitch chart. And again, your manual tells you all this, but it's also right up here for quick, easy reference. The straight stitch needle plate, what stitches are compatible with that? Well, all down here, straight stitch needle plate. Because the big advantage of having Janome machines and Janome thinking of everything, I really love having a machine that does some thinking for me, because, you know, I'm always in a hurry. And then a lot of times I'm sewing late at night and I'm not always thinking clearly. So a lot of times, you know, I'll be sewing and then I'll switch to a decorative stitch, and then I'll switch the needle plate and to a straight stitch, and then I try to do a decorative stitch afterward, and it won't let me, because that straight stitch needle plate, once I snap it into the machine recognizes you've got the straight stitch needle plate on, so you can't use all of these decorative stitches with that straight stitch needle plate. So again, the machine does some thinking for you to make sure that you don't make a mistake and potentially break a needle. So that's really good. That's a feature I definitely love and recommend to anybody. And again, our HP, that professional grade needle plate, these are the stitches compatible with that needle plate. So again, it's all in your manual, but it's nice to have it up here where it's always convenient. And then this is really cool, that when you're going to pack your machine away, oh, you can just slide it in that little groove and it disappears. On the back is all your fonts, and even there's a little clip up here, so you could put like some notes, a piece of paper or something. But yeah, all your fonts, there's 5 fonts included. Oh, 200 stitches. Oh, I think there's, 9 automatic buttonholes, like the list goes on. But one thing I really wanted to show you all, and again, you can adjust your settings, and oh, you can adjust your bobbin speed, like there's so much you can do with this. But specifically, I wanted to talk about this twin needle button. A lot of our Janome machines have that twin needle button. And again, a built-in safety feature. That's another reason why I personally love Janome. They really do try to help us out as much as possible and make things quicker and easiest to make sure we've got the best results. So when I click this twin needle button, there's a little twin needle icon that shows, and now I'm not going to be able to use all my stitches, because again, the twin needle button is going to prevent me from making some mistakes. So if I try to use, oh, stitch number 7 here, like that blanket stitch, and I type in 7, again, it tells me, no, you can't do that. But if I want, oh, this zigzag stitch number 6, and I just select there, that, oh yes, I can do that stitch safely. So that twin needle button, again, it comes in a lot of Janome machines. So it allows us to use the twin needles to get some really cool decorative effects. So some machines come with this package of needles with a twin needle. This I call the variety pack. There's a red tip needle, a purple tip needle, and 2 blue tip needles. Janome needles, but it also comes with this twin needle, which is the 2mm, I believe, distance. So this is a great little, again, sampler pack. It comes through, comes with most machines, but you can also get this separately from your Janome dealer. And the twin needle comes as one needle initially on the shaft, and again, it's got a flat back the way that regular needles do. So you insert it just like a regular needle. But from this shaft, it goes down and then it branches out into 2 needles. And the cool thing is you can get different widths of twin needles. So when you're selecting needles, again, if you can get Janome brand needles, that's always recommended because we know Janome needles will, of course, work beautifully in your Janome machines. But if you can't get Janome needles, Oregon is another company to look for. Oregon actually manufactures Janome needles, so we know these are going to work beautifully in your machine. And if you can't get those either, or again, when you're trying to get some specialty needles, oh, like these twin needles, for example, I turn to our friends at Schmetz. So like other needles will work in your Janome machine. I often see on social media this big debate about using different needles. And so long as I say use a good quality needle, stick to a brand, again, like Schmetz that's been around. I think they've even been around longer than Janome. And Janome is going on 100 years next year. So again, use a good quality brand. So Schmetz needles, we know, we recommend them all the time. And again, they work perfectly well. Now, what sometimes is the issue with other brands of needles is with the needle threader. The eye of that needle may not be in the same location as your Janome needle. So therefore, that little hook that's in your needle threader may not line up exactly the same. So you may not always be able to use your needle threader with another brand of needles. But if it's a good quality needle brand, sure, by all means, use it. These twin needles, for example, Schmetz has a lot of different sizes. So yes, there's one that's 1.6. I have the 2mm one out, and then there's a 3mm. So again, that refers to the width in between the needles. And then you can get some really cool ones. There's, again, a 4.0, and then a really wide one that is 6.0. So that's a really wide needle. So again, you just want to make sure. We know that the 2mm that is in the Janome needle case here, we know that that one's going to be okay. When you go up to use your bigger twin needles, just be very careful with your stitches, because again, you don't want to be breaking needles. So of course I've got my zigzag needle plate on, because again, I need the wider width, and then I do have my twin needle already installed in the machine. Now you won't be able to use your needle threaders with the twin needle at all, so I'm going to show you what I love using with them. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. So again, always, depending on your machine, consult your manual and what they suggest when using a twin needle, because we're going to use 2 spools of thread. So I've got on our vertical thread stand here built into the 6700, another feature I love. I've got 1 spool here, and then I've got my 2nd spool here. And basically, we're going to just thread these as if they are one. Now, it recommends in my manual that the left spool here is bypassing that little thread guide there, and it's just coming off the spool like that. It goes up to the mast here, and then it comes down to that thread guide. So that's what it's recommending in the manual, so I'm going along with that. The right needle here, the right thread guide here, then says, yes, go through this little guide here behind the bobbin winder. But then when you get up to this thread guide here at the top of the machine, you're going to, again, thread your needle, your right needle, exactly the same as you did your left. Again, the way that you always do is down and up, and again, around our beehive tension here, through the take-up lever. It's exactly the same way until you get to this thread guide right over the thread guide right over the needle. There is the groove all the way over to the left, so that's where I've got my left spool of thread, and then there's the opening to the groove here to the right, so that's where I have for my right needle. Now, what I love using, again, we can't use our needle threaders with these twin needles, so this is the Janome needle threader. Now yours is not going to have this band of red nail polish around it, but I do that. Actually, this was Tanya's suggestion as well. I do this with all my tools because then I know they're mine personally as opposed to Janome's. And then that way, whenever I'm doing classes like in person or going to a show, and I keep these in my pockets and I know, oh, if it's got red nail polish, it's mine. So again, a good tip if you're going again to a class or if you're sewing with somebody else, and this way you know this is yours. When you buy the Janome needle threader here in a blister pack from your dealer, again, yours won't have that bit of red on it, but it's very cool. That little triangle means that it's up oriented correctly. And half this needle threader is a needle holder. So with a single needle, you wouldn't use this with your twin needle necessarily, but with a single needle, you can hold it and that'll help insert the needle in place. But then when I have my needle threader here and I put it across horizontally these little grooves, and if this were my big strand of thread, whoops, that you can see. So when I put this up against my needle, this little plastic part is going to come down, and then do you see there's a little wire there that's going to poke this thread through the eye of the needle. So these are great to use for our cover hem machines, for example, the CPX 900 or CPX 1000, CPX 2000. They're really great using it for that, or again, anytime you're using a thicker thread and you can't use your needle threader, or again with these twin needles you can't use your needle threader. So this is a good time to use that needle threader. So I will try to do this quickly because again time is going on. And then when it creates a little loop, there's a little hook on this part. It's so useful, and the little hook just grabs your little loop and then it pulls the thread through. Like, is that not so easy? Like, that is incredible. Oops. Of course, oh, the thread started to shred a little bit. Let me cut that again and do that again because that's going to cause some problems. So yes, it's so cool. It makes it so convenient. Oh, I'm going to try to do this under the pressure of live TV. The reason I'm wearing this one glove as well, I'm not trying to imitate Michael Jackson. It's because I cut my hand and I didn't want to have, let me just get in there because I'm a little far away. I cut my hand, so I am wearing this glove so then you all don't have to look at my multiple band-aids. So, okay, there we go. Sorry, I just needed to get a little bit closer. That's why it's hard to demonstrate some of these things on TV. So this is what your twin needle does. It's so beautiful. Here is my regular line of stitching, just regular straight stitch. But there is two lines of stitching perfectly parallel with my twin needle. And there is my regular zigzag, but then here with a twin needle. How fun is that? And then here, my multi-step zigzag, but then there with a twin needle. And then this is like the serpentine stitch, and this is with a twin needle. So always I recommend everyone get a bunch of scraps, and all you do is go through your machine and test out various stitches. And again, I write everything down so that way I've got a reference manual that, oh, this was stitch number 5. Again, according to my stitch chart. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Yes, again, it was a rotary cutting accident. That's why you always close your blades. Again, learn from what I say, not as I do. But I was wrapping presents, that's why. But yeah, so I always write everything down of there's my stitch, and then again, it was a 3 width and a 3 length. So write everything down, but again, how cool is that? Now, of course, when you're doing all this decorative stitching, you know, as always, you want to support those stitches. So I love, again, my Madeira Stabilizer Starter Pack, as always, available from your Janome dealer. I absolutely love that Madeira Stabilizer and find, again, it's so useful. So there I just had a regular tearaway. And then, you know, you can experiment. This is using the wider twin needle, the 6mm. And again, many people like to do it. If you don't have one of our cover hem machines, then they often use the twin needle. This would be like my hem. And then there, I've got a zigzag stitch between the two. So this is a good way to finish your hem on the back side. So again, if you have a cover stitch machine, you know, that's wonderful. But if you don't, then you can use a twin needle to mimic that finishing your hem edge. So you've got the two parallel lines of stitching on one side, and again, it finishes off your hem edge on the other. So that's a good alternative for your twin needle as well. And here I experimented with lightening the tension of my needle. Normally I have it set to about a 4, which is the sample on the left, and then this one on the right, I have reduced my tension to a 2. And I found it's very subtle, but it did lay a little flatter with my reduced tension. Now you could also try our low tension blue dot bobbin holder with your twin needle. I left my blue dot bobbin holder at the office, so I don't have it here to experiment with, but I thought, oh, maybe by having that looser tension in the bobbin, it wouldn't pull these needle threads as much to the backside. Sometimes with a twin needle, you get this like kind of tunneling effect in between the two needles because again, that one bobbin stitch is going back and forth between the two. So sometimes it can form a little tunnel. So that's why I reduced my needle tension so it laid a little flatter. Or again, if you have that blue dot bobbin holder, then that has lower tension on it. So that might reduce some of that tunneling as well. But as well, stabilizing your fabric will also prevent that tunneling, again, depending on your application. Here for hems, you know, typically when we're using twin needles on hems, then we've interfaced that hem with whatever interfacing applicable for our fabric. So there you can see, like, I just cleared that hem there. So very beautiful. Or again, with that beautiful Madeira stabilizer, when you don't want to, there's no interfacing here, there's no other stabilizer in between that hem, and when you don't want to use that, how about using this beautiful, this is the Madeira Avalon water soluble stabilizer. So I stitched over a layer of this Avalon Ultra Stabilizer, and with my fabulous mini duckling scissors, these two would make a great stocking stuffer. I absolutely adore these little mini applique scissors, and because of that duck bill, that mini duck bill on the bottom here, I can trim my water-soluble stabilizer really close, and I know I'm not going to trim into that lower edge. And then after I trim this stabilizer, I put this in a separate spray bottle and then add some water to it and mix it up, and this becomes like my own little spray starch, my own stabilizer. But then after I trim off both sides, then I would just spritz this hem, or again immerse it in water to dissolve the rest of the stabilizer that are behind those stitches. And then again, that is a good way to support your twin needle without having to add additional stabilizers, which would, you know, stay, and you wouldn't have to interface that hem. So that's an alternative as well. And then, oh, this is with my wide twin needle. And again, just experiment with the width because you don't want it to hit your needle plate. So I just let it stay at all my default settings. So I said, you know, my mode 2, that's stitch number 57, one of the heirloom stitches built into many Janome machines. And again, many Janome machines have this twin needle function to then let you use twin needles safely. By making sure, like, it'll select the stitches for you. It won't let you use a stitch that's not compatible with a twin needle. Now this one was using the elongation function that's built into many machines as well. So there is the one satin stitch, but then I elongated it. So it's 2 times, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5, all using a twin needle. So how fun is that? So you can really play around. And as you can see here, then one of my threads here is slightly lighter than the other. Then I have a darker thread here. So you can also experiment with different threads and different stitches. Ooh, how about using our Madeira metallic threads, which I love so much. or again, Madeira Polyneon, or again, I use a lot of the Janome polyester embroidery threads, or I'm currently using the Iris polyester embroidery thread. That again, these are all available from your Janome dealer. So when you're doing beautiful decorative stitches like these twin needles, how about again using beautiful decorative threads? And then again, you may think, oh, well, what am I going to do with all of this? So again, on garments, on tote bags, I think perfect. How about for quilting? Take this little swatch and then cut it up. And there, I've created my own fabric to then I'm going to piece in my little quilt block here. So again, how cool is that? How cute is that? So yes, I will just grab this little sample here in order to do a little twin needle stitching, and just to show you that when you are using your, again, different selections here, I'll go into mode number 2, and then I can scroll through my stitches either with the cursor, or I'm going to select this button here, this display button, and you see then all those stitches are X'd out that I can't use. So as I scroll through my stitches, I can turn my little dial here and again go through all those stitches, and I say, oh, okay, I want stitch number 20, which looks like a blind hem stitch, a very utilitarian stitch, but instead I'm going to use a blind hem with it. So if I select that of stitch 20, and again, I can adjust my width and my length, but if you're using a really wide twin needle, like again, that 6.0, if you're going to use a really wide one, just be careful when you adjust your width. Initially, this is all set up again for that 2mm wide twin needle that comes with the many of the machines. So yes, if I want my, again, my stitch number 20, and then away I go. It's so cool. Now, when I do my twin needle stitching, I'm always going to turn down my speed. That, again, our 6700P will stitch at 1200 stitches per minute, but I like sewing a little slower just to be sure. Now, overall, when I do decorative stitches and even when I'm embroidering, I'm always slowing down the machine as well. I find the stitches, you know, form a little bit better if I'm using decorative stitches, again, in some of that decorative thread that may be a little finer. Then again, just sewing slower helps. So there is my beautiful. Now again, doesn't that normally again looks kind of like a blind hem, but with a twin needle, doesn't that look very cool? So there's so much fun that you can have with your twin needle. And again, it's built into many machines, and specifically, yes, built into our fabulous 6700P. Oh, and a good time too, I wanted to mention optional accessory. Yes, our things like our optic magnifiers are an additional accessory which will work with the 6700. There is a little port here off to the side. They're usually around by the thread cutters here that at the side of the machine, and it just clips up there. And this optic magnifier is a great, again, additional accessory, because then you can swing it right over your needle, and there's 3 different degrees of magnification. But it also helps you, when you're trying to read your needle pack, for example, it's a great time, because, you know, those numbers are so small. So it's a great time to use your optic magnifier. So that would be a great, also, stocking stuffer, last minute Christmas present. So lovely. Okay, so, and again, I could go on and talk forever, but as usual, the time is flying by, so I won't keep you all. I know everyone's got last minute, you know, Christmas shopping and wrapping, or whatever holiday it is that you're celebrating. It's not just Christmas. This is why, you know, we say happy holidays at this time of year. There's many holidays going on. Whatever holiday you're celebrating, I hope everyone is just very safe and happy and staying safe, so we can all celebrate in the new year and celebrate to the end of COVID, which is hopefully coming in the new year. But yes, I will see you all next week. I will be back for another Janome HQ Live on the 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern for another magical machine mystery reveal. So thank you all for joining me today. Have a very fabulous Christmas, or again, whichever holiday you're celebrating at this time of year. Thank you so much for all of your support of Janome HQ. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, and thank you, Sandra. Yes, I will tell Joe Merry Christmas from you. Thank you. Yes, it's wonderful to see you all. Stay happy and healthy, and I will see you all next week. Thank you. Bye.